I'm back with Jared again today. We're here with another episode. Today, we're going to be talking about desire, what the purpose of it is, if it's beneficial, just kind of our whole views on it, and maybe how to achieve our desire or find our desire, as you could say. So, Jared, what is your kind of overall viewpoint on desire? Do you feel as if it has served you in a positive way more so than a negative way, or would you say that it's vice versa for you?
Well, there's a lot of desire that I feel that we need. Like, we love to have someone next to us, someone to talk to. But also, being by yourself, I feel like that can be a great desire in itself, just kind of focusing on yourself. Feel like in life we get kind of caught up in just needing someone, and not understanding that you don't always need someone to be happy. You know what I mean? Like whatever desire you're chasing after, good desires, I feel like are, chasing after your goals, setting goals and achieving them. That's a wonderful desire. But when you're thinking you just need someone next to you at all times, I think we get lost in desire, good and bad desires, you got to learn to kind of cope, you know, sometimes on your own, go to the grocery store by yourself. You don't need someone next to you just to go grab a couple errands. You know what I mean? Like this, that's how
Absolutely.
I feel.
I think that desire can can give us inspiration, right? Or as you would say, motivation. And there's definitely more like negative desires and then there are positive desires with a lot of us, right? Because a lot of us were so lost in our ego, right? To where it's
Yeah.
like instead of me wanting, we all want kind of things for like an ego reason. You know what I mean? Like there's like a deep part of us still that wants something for the wrong reason. And you realize that eventually it just doesn't fulfill you. Have you felt the same way, Jared? Have you ever felt like you wanted something really bad and like let's say maybe you got it, but it served you in a negative way. Like it didn't bring you what you wanted.
Yeah, I think I learned that through like jobs, relationships, things of that, like just things that overall, even spirituality, like, I was never really happy as a Christian. For that part, I think when I just started to learn about all religion and learning to accept others for who they are, even sexuality, you got people who are, LGBTQ, and I learned in time to just accept it. You know what I mean? It's looking at everything as a whole. It's very important with mental health. Our desires. If we love someone, we'll chase after them, but if it's not meant to be, then maybe our desires are somewhere else and we're just not seeing it. So even with work, find a job that you enjoy. That could be your biggest desire. You go after a job you don't love and it's just because of the money, you're lost in that desire, you know what I mean, to manifest, and grow from.
No, absolutely, I agree. And I think with me personally, when it comes to desire too, I think that's great that you mentioned um, being accepting, right? Because I think that that's one of the biggest keys to manifesting our desire, right? Is we have to practice the, what you would call it as the art of allowing. You know what I mean? You have to just accept the flow of life, what it brings to you, and you also
Right.
have to, the art of allowing essentially is when let's just say something starts to kind of bother you, right? Because we all have things that maybe can kind of bother us, right? But we have to recognize that we just have to allow it to just be the way it is. You know what I mean? And we have
Right.
to respond to kind of almost anything and everything that we see in this world in a positive light, which I
Yeah.
know can be sound a little bit kind of crazy, but for me personally, I think that has been a key for me to help kind of overcome my ego, if that kind of makes sense.
No,
But
I like that. That's good stuff, bro.
yeah, absolutely. But Jared, have you ever have you ever had desire that was basically like you wanted it maybe for like the wrong reason, maybe, but you didn't realize it until afterwards? Or have you ever had desire to where it's like you really wanted something and then realized that you did not want it? And what did that feel like for you?
Yeah, I feel like my whole past, it's all something I didn't want. And then had to learn from circumstances. I had to push a lot of people out of my life. I feel like, a lot of times you get caught up in the wrong crowd. You might be hanging around the wrong people, and they might be doing harm to you, and you just don't know it. And later on, you realize that your desire in life is, to chase after something you believe. Like, kind of speaking off of my music, I used to mainly just focus on gangster rap because that's kind of where I came from. But the whole background of that was never positive. It was always negative. Now I kind of try to focus on the mental health side of things, focusing on what people are actually going through and maybe what I'm going through to help them. That's a good desire right there. If I was to sum up where I'm at now compared to where I was before and what I thought of it.
Absolutely. So I guess maybe we could start maybe just kind of because I think we all know what what hinders us from manifestation, right? And achieving desires, right? And the first thing would be that we don't have pure intentions with our desire, right? Which, like I mentioned, it could be an ego thing. You want something for the wrong reason. An example of that would be I want this girlfriend because so I could show her off to all my friends rather than me actually want to actually date her as a person and get to know her as a person, right? That could be an
Right.
example. Um, Another thing too could just be you want everything just for yourself, right? You're focused on mainly just yourself too, which is another thing I think that can kind of hinder us manifesting our desires. So yeah, I mean, setting pure intentions, it can bring everything, right? But another thing that can also hinder it is attachment, right? Because it's like, when something becomes like or feels like a need, then you begin to recognize that you're not going to be able to get it, right? You know what I mean? When it feels like a need, that's when it's hardest to achieve. Like I've noticed for me personally, the less I worry and the more I just let things go, the more things come to me that I've been wanting. Have you kind of felt the same that the less you worry, the more good comes to you?
Yeah, I do think like paranoia plays a factor in life, but if you just kind of like let things just go as it is, maybe you said something to someone you didn't mean to, and in reality, maybe, whether they deserved it or not, sometimes just letting it go and just understanding that letting the flow of life go as it is. I mean, you can learn a lot from that if you just kind of stay stuck in that moment. It can kind of get you away from your desires. You know what I mean? We're trying to grow. We're not trying to just stay stuck. So I feel like in life, everybody's doing that. They're just staying stuck in one moment. Maybe you're mad at your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever. Obviously, at some point, you have to forgive them, right? And then just kind of move on. I mean, how do you grow, right? That's the only way you can manifest in life. You want a desire in the right sense. That's a good example probably for that.
Yeah, no. Another thing I'd like to talk about too when it comes to manifestation, and I know this sounds kind of weird, but I think that delusion is a positive trait. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Delusion, like obvious, like where you believe something that's just so crazy, right? And that's the reason why you look at top athletes, right? Like you look at boxers or UFC fighters. The reason why they're at where they're at is because they believe that they can beat the number one champion of the world. Does that make sense?
yeah.
And
Confidence,
it's
man.
because yeah, it's in com and that's the thing, right? Because I mean, because delusion and confidence they're very related. You know what I mean? But and that can be the same thing with our desire, right? Because since we almost kind of think that since we're not like worthy of it, or we think it's so rare. You know what I mean? It's so rare for me to um find that right person, or for me to get that house down the street.
Right.
Since we think that it's so rare and we view it as an anomaly, that can also be a thing too that can also hinder us from getting what we want out of life too. But, you know, what are your kind of thoughts on that, Jared?
Well, I definitely feel like, if you can get things in line, you know what I mean? You're not just chasing after everything that you want because you got to understand nobody's perfect. You're not going to get a perfect person in front of you if you're chasing after a relationship, if you're chasing after a job and it's all about financial, you just, you're not going to be happy. You just have to understand, find what's sometimes just getting by can be very nice, just understanding life as it is, not looking at everything as a need. I mean, sometimes you do need something and you just want it, but there's a difference between needs and wants. Needs can be good, wants can be good. It's just really on how you look at it, like if you're going to say, oh, I want that video game, but you got to pay your car bill or something, and you don't have the money. Which one should you choose? Probably the safer option is to just get the bill paid and not get backtracked, because then it might take longer for you to get that video game. You know what I mean? You just have to prioritize everything that you do in life, and desire and everything like that plays a big factor, I feel.
Yeah. Back to kind of like worry for a second. Jared, are there any things that you worry about, or maybe there could even be maybe even some practices that could help you with worrying? Do you ever feel worry ever?
I worry every day. Worry if I'm gonna see tomorrow. I worry if the people around me are gonna stay loving me. Maybe I did them wrong one day, and this is the thing with life. Paranoia plays a factor, and like we had brought up just recently, and I feel sometimes we just get kind of lost in delusion, and we tell ourselves what we're worth when deep down inside, with confidence you're worth a lot more to this world, than we maybe portray ourselves out to be. You got to love yourself before you can love someone else. So that plays a big factor, I think,
I
as
agree.
well.
And worry for me, and I think for a lot of people, I think worry is the biggest thing that we all have, right? Because think about it. I mean, we're all humans, right? And we had to develop the ego in order to survive. You know what I mean? Came from a hunter-gatherer society to a nomadic society, right? And 1,000 years ago, we'd be worrying about if we're going to be able to feed ourselves, right? Or if we're going to be able to have water or whatever it may be, right? Or if we're going to have to worry about a sickness, right? So I think it's very, very ingrained in our genes to want to worry about everything that comes to us that may be something that we view as negative.
Right.
And that's another thing too. I think that this is also another thing that's really essential for manifesting desire is basically what we want to do is we want to respond to everything in a positive light, right? So it's like, even though if I got this bill in the mail, you know what I mean? That's for like $1,000. I need to respond to that in a positive way. You know what I mean? In my mind, you know what I mean? The more, you know what I mean? Because obviously that can really affect my energy state, right? You know what I mean? It's like, man, I got to pay this $1,000. It's like, I was hoping for this, I was hoping for that. You know what I mean? And then I just go down this whole rabbit hole in my mind that could last for a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
But a positive way to react to that, and the way I probably should, is just be like, it happens, and I'm grateful to give this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have
I
you
think
ever have you ever like let go of something and just kind of accepted the fate of it, responded to it positively, and ended up just working out just fine for you?
we're kind of going back to our wants and needs. If you kind of save your money, a little bit, you pay your bills, you put a little bit of money to the side, you won't have to worry about these things. You know what I mean? You'll be 100% ready. Like when it hits you, you ain't going to be like, hey, Grams, help me, grandpa, mom, you can't rely on someone else to take responsibility for you. You have to sometimes get out of your comfort zone and be like, okay. I guess I gotta pay it, and then you just pay it. It's just like getting a ticket, from a police officer. You gotta pay it. There's more consequences that can happen if you just don't take care of what you have to right in front of you. It just creates more problems. You could be in debt. You could do, you just got to be mature about it when it comes time, and sort it out, and then go on with your life. That's the flow of life.
Absolutely. Um, Another thing too, I think that since we do desire, you know what I mean? The reason why I think is right is because we all want the outcome of what it brings, right? And it's because we believe that that outcome produces a positive energy, right? Which obviously it is, right? I mean, um, I got a pretty girlfriend, you know what I mean? Of course that's going to provide a positive energy feeling, you know what I mean? Or I was able to get this dream house that I wanted. Of course that's going to bring a positive feeling, but I don't know, it's definitely can't bring fulfillment. Do you know what I mean? Right? So I think for with a lot of us, what we need to do is we need to learn how to control our energy. And then when we control our energy, then everything lines up in that path, right? Because
Yeah,
then the soul gets what it wants, right? The soul is what matters most. You get what
yeah,
I'm, so if I'm trying to, like, let's just say attract a partner or something like that, then some good things to do would be um like doing like a self-love meditation and focusing on like I'm just tapping into the feeling of love, you know what I mean? Maybe even saying an affirmation, a mantra, whatever it may kind of be. One practice that I kind of like to do, I don't know if it might be like a common practice, but I'm not sure. I don't know if I made it up or not, but I like to I like to kind of associate energies with colors, if that
okay,
kind of makes sense. So like
yeah,
I'll associate it with green, abundance, I'll assume which is kind of like wealth. I'll kind of like associate that with like yellow or kind of like a white light. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of sit there and I'll just like imagine that I'm breathing in this color.
okay.
You know what I mean? And then I'm exhaling that color. You know what I mean? And I something about that brings me like a strong sense of security and helps me bring some more of that energy that I'm wanting to experience.
Like a safe zone, kind of like
Safe
thing.
zone. Yeah. Do you do anything to kind of, would you say that kind of helps you kind of control your energy? Like if you're angry or something like that, do you do anything that kind of brings you back centered that makes you kind of helps you not feel that emotion or bring in the opposite of that emotion in the positive light?
Well, kind of going back to the meditation thing, I like to work out every day. I think that's just like a sense of direction. It's something you get out of it, fulfillment. Sometimes you're not always chasing after like muscles and stuff. Maybe you're chasing after just staying fit for the day, and making it till tomorrow, or knowing it's Thanksgiving tomorrow and you gotta prepare yourself that you're not going to be able to go tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
sometimes when we take our schedule, we kind of live off the schedule a lot in life. I think when our schedule gets changed, whether we're on vacation or something like that, it can change the mental state of mind very it can do a lot of harm to the mind. So I think, yoga, weightlifting, doing anything that can give you a release outside of just with desire, like there's so much desire that we don't understand. There's verbal, there's physical, even just getting a hug from someone, it can make your day. And then if you're just verbally telling someone I love you, like love you brother, like it goes a long way. It could literally make a person's day, you know what I mean? Or just opening a door for someone, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? All these things come with goodwill, good positivity, and flow of life, really. So
And that's where fulfillment comes in.
yeah,
You realize that service to over time, I don't know if I've necessarily realized it yet, but you realize that, being of service to others, whatever that may look for you, right? Whether it be just kind of smiling at the person you walk by or sending love telepathically to a person that you walk by
yeah,
or whatever it may be, you realize how fulfilling it is. You know what I mean? to be of
Yeah.
service to other people, to help each other, to help other people out, than it is to just focus on yourself. It brings, I think it can bring everyone great joy to make others happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's definitely that's one of the desires that we can all fulfill right now, which is pretty amazing. We don't need a big house to be of service to others or anything else. That's one of the desires that we can fulfill right now,
Right.
but Jared, you got any closing thoughts on basically just kind of what we talked about?
So, yeah, one thing I'll say is just kind of learn to love yourself, and then you can learn to love others. Whether it's in the workplace, at home, wherever it is, it could just be out in the blue, and then you just meet somebody and really take care of your morals, not like make sure that you're taking care of what you have to take care of before you go and buy that Xbox or that PlayStation. Understand that your desire isn't always good. Whether you look at it as, oh, I want it. Understand what you need and what you want. You know what I mean? And then go from there. And I think you're going to learn a lot about life and a lot about yourself and a lot about growth. Your
Absolutely.
turn, Parker.
Yeah, when it comes to desire, I think just letting go of it can be the best thing. And also just taking small steps in the right direction. Maybe it be waking up 5 minutes earlier or starting your day off with reading a book or meditating instead of watching YouTube or scrolling on your phone. Just taking those small steps and everything in life can kind of help you achieve the life that you really want to live and fulfill. And also just recognizing your triggers and how to just observe your thoughts. Don't respond to them in a negative light. Just observe your thoughts and just try to just control your energy as good as you can. And that's all I got. And this is Jared. Um,
Yeah.
I'm Parker, and we'll see y'all later.
All right. See you guys.